Welcome back to another episode of The Maturity Project. I'm your host, Sir Chad over Broshears to some, if you know, or it's Chad over Broshears to the rest of the world. And today's conversation, for all my game changers and people that are up to something in life, today's conversation is going to be about why things never seem to change. Why the hell can't we seem to make any progress? And what I see is it leads to, so here's the problem. You get started, you get excited, you find something that you want to do, and you get enrolled in doing it, and then you get all fired up for it. You start figuring out how to get started on something, and then you get started, and then something happens. You made some progress, but you get distracted. What you get distracted for? Hey, things happen. Sometimes they're the silliest distractions. Sometimes they're very valid in why you had the distraction, but ultimately you get distracted. And then you go to get back online, and you go to get back. And what I mean by online, I mean just get back on the progress of what you're working on. Challenges that you have here is that sometimes you've lost that momentum, the excitement you started with. Now, there's a lot of reasons why this happens. Sometimes you just don't know enough about what's necessary in order to be successful at that thing. And other times, you may know enough and you can figure it out along the way, but there's something else going on in your life that really needs your assistance, which really needs you to show up. So here's what happens. All right. There's actually 8 different places. There's 8 different areas of maturity. Each one of those areas are part of your life satisfaction. If you are not addressing each one of those areas, you'll have some degrees of stress associated with neglect. It's neglect in that area. And here's the quick ones. We'll do a rundown real quick for you. So some of you have heard this, some people haven't, but the 8 different areas of maturity are the physical body. You've got community. So 1, physical body. 2, community. 3, cognitive or intelligence. 4, emotions. 5, finance. 6, business. 7, sexuality. And 8, spirituality or purpose. So that's your different areas of maturity. What happens is we get caught up in something, and let's say that whatever you're fired up about has a area of business, and you're fired up that you're going to get started on a certain business, and you are really all about it. You know enough. You can get in touch with the IRS. You can file for a EIN number. You can, you got enough steps forward to see some sort of progress. You've got financial ties as soon as you actually do file with the IRS. Now that thing has become an entity. You've got to pick the entity that you're going to be filing under. There's a lot of things there, right? You got to figure out what your unique selling proposition is. If you don't have that much information, well, once it comes across the other individuals that are running a business similar or the same, you won't have something that makes you stand out. You didn't know that getting into it, and then you get distracted because you didn't have enough of the information for it. But that happens. But if you're not distracted, you can work your way through it. Just stay consistent. Where you get validatable excuses about why you can't stay consistent with it is that, let's say you're in a relationship and that thing starts to fall apart, whether it's your marriage, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it might be, your significant other. And because of the effort you're putting into the business has now caused stress in that relationship. That relationship is now needing your attention. If that person's that meaningful to you, you put the effort in over there and you've lost some of the energy that you've been putting into the business direction. Typically, this is not alone, though. If it's a relationship issue, often that'll also come with not just the community aspects of a relationship, which it falls under that particular. It all connects. But anyway, you could say, okay, well, community got neglected because of the person you're with wasn't being attended to properly in a way that made them feel like they're a part of it. Then you have another. And that next one is sexuality. Your partner has a relationship with you in a way that you do express sex and whatever it is that you guys bond by, and the intimacy values, which gets into the emotional aspects of it. So you have multiple different areas of maturity that are now feeling the need for attention. And the business area of your maturity now needs to give away or to let go of some of your resources so it can give attention to those other areas. If not, then you stand to lose your partner. There's an urgency and a concern. Whether or not that's an actuality, your partner is going to walk away. It is not supportive of the healthy relationship. It's not nurturing. It is neglecting. So You can definitely have a different ways of doing this, but for now, for the example, these are the reasons why we can't seem to make progress. You get started on something and something happens. All right, well, you know what? Let's go back to business and let's get away from the personal relationship of a partner. Okay, you get into business, you sacrifice everything, you get no sleep whatsoever. You're so driven. You're so damn driven. You wake up early, you get to work, you study, you quit the entertainment stuff, you don't watch TV, you quit listening to music, you're all in for learning, 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 because you know that you're going to make a successful business and you're damn well driven for it. Then next thing you know, you get a numbness in your arm. You get, some dizziness. You get, you don't even realize that you go to get on the scale and you've lost weight. You get all these different ailments that start to show up. Your physical body is starting to fail you because you're neglecting it, because you're so focused on business. You're not getting enough adequate sleep. You're not taking care of yourself properly. You're not eating the right foods. You're not staying well hydrated. There's a lot of things because you're not focused. You may go all day and eat one time, or may not even eat because you're so focused. Then you have to focus. You need to put the effort in to learn what you need to take care of your body. You have to do it. Doctor tells you got to get on a medication. You got to take care of yourself. You get into a situation where, somebody else in your life goes, man, you don't look good. You do not look good at all. Have you seen a physician? Have you seen somebody? Are you okay? Well, yeah, you've been focusing on business. What are you talking about? Oh, I'm just making sacrifices. Okay. Now your community is reaching out to you to tell you they're worried about you. Well, you've been neglecting your physical body, and guess what? Also, your community was neglected. They didn't know what the hell you're up to. They weren't enrolled in supporting you. Not that you absolutely need it, but I would say that if you're more mature in your community, they will help you significantly. But you've got to develop that maturity. If not, you're going to get the haters and the people that want to see you fail or have seen you fail before and just play into the whole, like, you're going to do it again. You're going to screw up, blah, 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 whatever. Well, all right. So this is a reason why you can't stay focused. What about a relationship? So you're sitting there, you have the intimacy aspect. So you have emotional maturity. You're putting effort in there. You're putting effort in with your partner. So you have the sexuality aspect. Or you're courting somebody and you want to get into a relationship with them. Business has been pretty good. Finances are fairly stable, but you've been working some overtime. You've been working your butt off, but at the same time, you're letting loose a little bit. And then you meet somebody and you're like, damn it, man, this person's really the person, man. This person really gets me and excites me. And then you put a lot of effort in on that relationship, or you just get distracted by it. Next thing you know, you're not working as many hours. And then the company decides that they were going to depend on somebody else for the overtime instead of you. Your direction at that point has been, you've moved your effort over to the relationship side of things and you've taken it away from someplace else. Well, guess what those other places are doing now? You don't have quite as much money left over after your bills are paid. Your financial life and your financial responsibilities are starting to tell you need to pay attention here. You realize that you have a bill that's due on Wednesday and you don't get paid till Friday and you don't have enough in your account to cover it. Are you going to be able to be the same person to your partner or the person that you're courting once you realize that you are broke? You are out of money because you've neglected that area. You put effort in somewhere else. So another example. All right, here's another one for you. You've got money. You're working your butt off. You're making great money. You've got a good job. It's a career in its own sense, right? Anybody else would look at it and be like, damn it, that's a career. That's awesome. That person's really going somewhere, doing well. And then, you're working out, you're taking care of yourself, your purpose really is just, the basics. It's not very deep. It doesn't go very far. And you have this interesting cycle. You do this every couple of years, every, half a decade, roughly every 5 years or so. You do this where you get started on something and you really throw yourself into it. You get damn good at it. And then all of a sudden you start hurting the opportunity. You start shifting your attention elsewhere. You've been focusing on the business stuff. You've been focusing on making sure you've got plenty of money in the bank. You've been focusing on the things that seem to be meaningful to you. but you're not happy. You're not easy. You're under dis-ease, right? You're dealing with the lack of ease because you're focused away from everything. Are you focused on everything except for your purpose? Your spirituality has been neglected. Now, you might go to church, and whenever you go to church or you go to temple or whatever it is that you go to, but you're just there in the action of it. You don't really feel like you're called into anything in life. And then it hits you. My priorities have been misaligned. Sure, I've got all the things that need to be developed, but I don't have any sense of purpose. Then you start looking at your spending habits and you realize you've been buying shit all around you that you really don't have any real utility for. You've got things you've never even taken out of the package. Or you buy something, use it one time, and you move on. You don't really get any kind of utility. Brand new phone, whatever it is, you got the newest car. Every time you turn around, you're digging yourself into more financial responsibility and liability because you're not satisfied in life. You're doing the shop therapy thing. Oh, yeah, it sucks. It sucks because you don't have that sense of purpose. So yeah, you're going to do a lot of stuff to get, just to get by. Well, we've got that. Purpose is something you can't neglect. You've got to put some nurturing into it. You've got to take care of that area. If you don't, you're going to get uncomfortable. Now, here's the thing. You don't have to do everything. You don't even have to do anything, really. But if you want to have a fulfilled life, you're going to need to start taking these things into consideration. 8 areas of maturity. They are intended, once you develop them, you will have a more significantly matured and a fulfilled life. But if you're not doing anything about it, you're going to find that you get really good in certain areas, but just something never seems to really work well. Something always seems to be off. You weren't necessarily fully satisfied. Something is wrong. You've been putting all kinds of effort in all over the place, but you don't seem to be getting that same degree of fulfillment you see other people have. People with less money and they're happier than you are. Happiness is not the measurement of satisfaction in life, by the way, but it does contribute a lot towards it. There's other things. It's suffrage also has a value of satisfaction in life because a hard job well done gives a sense of satisfaction. That's not happiness. That's joy that you get at the end of the day. They are separate and different, but yet very similar, and most people believe they're the same thing. But joy is the experience of completing a task. Accomplishing a challenge or a feat. It's something that is attached to the outcome of a particular situation that is in your favor. That's joy. Happiness does not require joy, but it's often associated with it. And the same thing, joy does not require happiness, but it's often associated with it because it feels very similar, if not the same. So you don't seem to feel the same degrees of joy. And then you're like, well, hell, I don't know what to do here. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied. I don't feel like I have the fulfilled life. What'll end up happening is if you were to, here's a question I posed myself. I posed for myself, and I also ask other people for it. And that is, on your deathbed right now, if tomorrow was your last day, or actually if today was your last day, what would you write down as the series of things that you really did that you appreciate you did in life? And then what would you write down in the column for the things that you wish you had done, the regrets category? And see which one has more. And then see how heavy each one of those are. I've had a family, fantastic, but I didn't travel the world. Okay. Family, for most people is going to be more satisfying than traveling the world. But it can also be the reason why you didn't travel the world, and you can just sit there and say, you know what, if I had lived long enough to get my kids out of the house so they can go, or I made enough money to take them with me when we travel around the world, that would have been great. I didn't live up to that. So there still can be attachments of desires unmet, that lead to regret, because that's what regret is. So we've got, what questions would you feel were not answered on your deathbed? Les Brown says the wealthiest place on the planet is a graveyard. Everybody's going there. We all are. When it's going to happen, we don't know. What happens in that dash is the thing that everyone seems to overlook when they go to the graveyard. What kind of life did that person live? kind of legacy do they leave? Because some of them did. Some of them made a difference in life, and other ones just lived, paid bills, went to, and then took a dirt nap. What kind of life do you want to live? If you want one that's fulfilled and really be able to be highly functional in life, then start addressing these 8 areas of maturity. They will help you break free. They'll give you new accesses to things. You'll be able to deal with and deal with challenges more effectively as life's happening to you. There's all kinds of beautiful things that come out of it when you put in the effort. But if you don't put in the effort, then you can still put in effort. You're putting effort into whatever it is that you're focused on. It might be getting that promotion at work, but that promotion at work could also leave you neglecting your family, could leave you neglecting going to the gym. It could leave you neglecting pursuing the purpose that you have. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, well, I don't know how to figure out what my purpose is. Fantastic. Send me an email. Send me an email. I'll get you something to help with that. Okay. So the email is yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. It's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. Send it over. I'll send you over some stuff you can start working with. Just basic, simple fundamentals and foundation stuff. Just send it over. Okay. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Another great way of getting things. So look, here's the problem. Everybody faces the problems. We get really distracted. We got a lot of things going on. It's really hard to keep things balanced because life keeps happening. And you know what? People keep happening to us. And we keep shifting around until we figure out how to get things done. So if you really want to be able to break free, you got to start looking at each one of these areas. First thing in the morning, start qualifying the 8 different areas of maturity and figure out exactly what that day holds and what actually falls into which category so that you know what you're doing is working towards something. You have 8 areas, and any area you seem to draw a blank on, well, guess what that means? You got to do some research to figure it out for yourself. What does that area mean to you? Because it does mean something to you. I promise you it does. Absolutely it does. You just may not have the clarity. Our biggest challenges in life is we don't know what to do. We're not aware that we can do something, and we are so fucking disorganized that they can't break free of it. We can't break free of it. We're like, well, if I focus on that, but I got all this other stuff going on, I got to pay my bills. Yes, you do. Absolutely. Everybody's got to pay their bills. But why and how do some people that have to pay their bills still make progress and you don't? And that's because they're putting focus in the places that are necessary so that they're not getting that nagging sensation that distracts them, and they're not neglecting things that make them miserable later. You can sit there and be like, well, Chad, I'm just going to be really, really, really aggressive about focusing on one area or 2 areas. Okay, great. How many people right now, as an example, that are incredibly wealthy that seem miserable? Do you want to exchange your happiness right now and the satisfaction you have in life for a massive bank account? And for a lot of you, you're going to be like, hell yeah, man, my life will get better. Well, apparently you didn't listen to Biggie Smalls in the 90s. More money, more problems. No, because I'm so hip and cool, I listened to it in the 90s. But point of it is that we get distracted. We're disorganized. You don't know how to put these things in an organized fashion because you don't even know that it's there. Most people, when I talk to them about maturity, they put it into some sort of very ambiguous category of just something. And then they say, well, I don't want to be mature because that takes away all the fun in life. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not at all. I have so much more fun when I let go of the childish insecurities that I have. And then I get active towards the things that I really enjoy, and I can give myself to it without the anchor of that insecurity. And when that insecurity comes up, guess what I do? I journal it. I grab something, I write that son of a bitch down, and then I'm like, you will be worked on. And it's already playing in my head. What is it that I need to work on? A lot of the things you need to work on, if you're not playing the game of life actively and you're only playing parts of it, you're going to be ridiculously surprised when you start playing it because a lot of stuff's going to come up because you've been neglecting things throughout your life. And hey, we all do it, so don't make yourself too wrong for it. It's just, what do you do now? Once you know this, you can no longer plead ignorance. Now you have something workable, and you got to do something or nothing changes, because nothing changes if nothing changes. Think about that. And if I need to elaborate on it a little bit more, I will right now, just so bear with me for the people that already get it. If nothing changes in the outcome that you want, you have to change something in the behavior. If you change nothing in the behavior, the outcome doesn't change. Nothing changes unless something changes. or nothing changes if nothing changes. That's the simple version of it. If you really want a different outcome, start looking at things. You don't need to do a different world worth of things. You can go right back into your current world and say, you know what? I didn't realize I could address these other areas. Start developing those areas. And before you know it, you're better. Easy example, you get into a company, you start getting up through the ranks, then you start working towards getting to a specific higher position, but it requires that you're more dynamically developed, and you have not been developing on the financial side of your maturity. You've just been working on the managerial concepts of maturity in business, and you're developing yourself into a leadership role. But then the next thing you know, the leadership role also requires that you understand the finances of the company. You also understand the regulations with those finances and how all of that works. But if you don't have that ability, the company is typically not going to give you that option. They're going to find somebody else that's already developed in it versus developing you in it. That's more common than not. So if you spend so much time on that, and it's a very simple direction, most people can't differentiate between finance and business, but they are separate categories of maturity for a very good reason. So you sit there, you bust your ass, you get really good, you get promoted, you get promoted, you get promoted. Next thing you know, the next promotion requires that you have skill sets you haven't even worked on. You haven't touched them. You've heard them. They're downstream of you. They come to you. You're downstream of them, but you're not a creator in that. You're a recipient. So they can't promote you to that position if you don't understand it. It's not a wise business move. It's better to hire somebody from outside unless they're desperate, then they move you up. So, all right, with this, these are the reasons why we struggle so much. You do not need to create another world. You don't need to go off and just, trash everything and get into something else, or expect that what work you need to do needs to be so alien to you that it doesn't make sense right now. That's not the case either. This all makes sense when you start looking at it from the maturity aspects of each one of the things you've done and developed in yourself. First, you want to get those 8 areas of maturity down so you can self-qualify. I do have documents for that as well. So send me over an email and I'll send you the documents that at least get you the foundation so you can start working on it. From there, opportunities and possibilities show up. It is now an opportunity for you to change your life. But if you don't, you're going to continue to run into these challenges because, look, challenge is going to happen. And there's 3 ways of dealing with conflict or challenges. One of them is you avoid it. You don't ever bother with it. And guess what? You're not going to overcome it, and it will haunt you for the rest of your life until you finally take action to do something about it. Not a whole lot of life lets you avoid for too long because it gets worse the longer you go. The longer you go without addressing it or looking into something, the worse it gets. Not to get too morbid, but if you're not feeling well, there's something wrong, something's not quite right, and it's definitely different, and you don't get it looked at before you know it, it might be something progressed to the point you may not be able to do much about it, and it's already over. It's just now it's till the expiration date, right? So, that could be the medical side of things. Could also be that, hey, if you don't pay this bill, your credit gets ruined. Well, you don't really care much about your credit. Next thing you know, you want to go buy a car. You go to buy one, and now it's like, hey, we can't sell you this car, or your interest rate's going to be through the roof, and the other person over there is going to pay, less than a third of what you are because your interest rates are ridiculous, or half of what you are, whatever the differences are. But you know that it does seem like it's unfair. It's actually very fair. You didn't do what you needed to in order to take care of the things that you needed to take care of. See what I mean? Like, these things are directly in front of us all the time already. It's just you don't have the insights to actually do something about it, or the skills to organize it, or the awareness that it can be organized in such a way that you can get a different outcome. So the 8 areas of maturity foundation, let's get you started there. You can start working the rest of the stuff into it. If you have problems in the relationship, well, guess what? We have 7 other areas we can look at, and we can start building you up, because I'll tell you right now, if you think it's aesthetics that draw people to other people, that is just a handshake, man. That is just a first impression, but that does not mean that it's who you are. There are plenty of people out there that are not aesthetically pleasing, and they have some of the most aesthetically pleasing partners, because their character is rich. Who they are as a person goes beyond what they look like. And the person that's with them knows how to see that, and knows how to experience it, and knows how to bring the satisfaction of life with that person to the degree that person's able to bring into their life, from being charismatic, intelligent, funny, attentive, whatever it might be. But you're sitting there in the mystery going, they don't look right together. Something's wrong, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It's because you're not looking at it at the right direction. So if you have relationship challenges, guess what? We develop the other areas. If it has to do with the fact that you're just not, gifted to be a very attractive person, or if you're just out of shape right now, and hey, it may take you a year to get into shape. That doesn't mean that you don't start now with the other things that are necessary in order to make yourself more attractive to other people. So same thing. If you feel like everybody's using you in relationships for money, well, guess what? You need to start working on some other things other than the fact that you can generate money and you use money to help get people to like you, or whatever. It's, still kind of ultimately comes down to using money to get people to like you, even if it's just them using you. How did they get to find out about it in the first place? And why did you give them money to get to the point that they can think they can use you? There's got to be something about that, about you wanting them to like you. And the attribute that they're focused on is money. And they've been telling you in their own way, but you didn't know how to pick it up on it or whatever, or you just qualified that people are good in general and they're not going to manipulate or abuse or whatever. So there's all kinds of things. These are the reasons why we can't seem to make progress, because you constantly get distracted, because you're not dealing with the areas necessary to stay well balanced. When you're out of balance, the thing that is furthest out of balance typically is the thing that will get your attention next. A lot of times, because we're so blinded by whatever our goals are, that we forget that there's other parts of our life that we still need to address. For me, one of my greatest challenges is the realization now, and this is associated with my greatest challenge, is I do procrastinate. I procrastinate a lot. I procrastinate every single day, almost all day long. But I'm not procrastinating in work. I'm procrastinating in time off, relaxation, and vacation, just to check out. I don't do it. And my justification for it is I enjoy working. I enjoy creating. I enjoy doing this. So if I'm sitting on a beach, relaxing, Mai Tai, whatever the hell in my hands, mojito, it's really more likely just be a beer. Just sitting there on the beach, drinking a beer, I won't be there. I'll be there, but I won't be there, because that's my area that I need to work on, being present to downtime, to be okay with having downtime. So if you want to make progress, let's get started on it now. Let's start looking at this whole thing just a little bit differently. It's just a little bit of a different look, but you start qualifying differently. And before you know it, you now have something aggressive that you can work with. It will be your own rocket ship of success and fulfillment in life. Fulfillment is the target when it comes to success. Ask anybody in their deathbed. People that had a fulfilled life, pretty satisfied with the life they've had, and they don't really get overwhelmed with too much of just, I'm dying, as much of they're more prone to accepting that they're dying because they lived a good life. You don't really hear I lived a good life anymore on the deathbeds. It's very uncommon, unfortunately. People in hospice can attest to this. People have lost other people in their life that didn't have an extraordinary person that they lost, even though everybody's extraordinary does, right? But I mean at the point that they've actually done something in life, not necessarily to be famous, but just do stuff in life that really makes you feel good. It just makes you feel like you really did live. All right, that's what I got for you today. Let's get to it. All right. If you want to stop struggling with things, let's look at why you're fucking struggling in the first place. Okay. You're struggling because you're not organizing things in the right way. You don't have enough maturity to be successful in that area without the struggle. And by the way, struggling creates diamonds. It's okay to struggle, but when you put it in the right vehicle, you can give more purpose to the challenge, the suffering that you go through. And you can realize that this is forging my character. Because as I tell you, and I've told you in other videos as well, 6 months or more of a continuous conditioning changes your character. You can either condition yourself or you let the environment do it or other people do it. One way or another, 6 months or more, your character is changing towards that stimulus. Create your own. You can make these things into habits and significantly excel at all of it. But you have to understand how to organize this stuff, how to address it. You will get more of an experience out of life. You'll be well-rounded, and people will be very impressed with how well-rounded you are and how satisfied you are and how slow to anger you are, because you're not stressed out all the time, because you're doing what you need to do to reduce your stress. All right, that's it for today. This is the Maturity Project. I am your host, Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears to some. If you know, you know. And today's episode is on why you're struggling and how to get the hell over it and get it moving forward so that you're successful. Please share this video with people in your life that you would like to break the ice with and create a conversation of meaning with this. Also, remember, man, you can feel the calling the world has for you. If you're up to something, the world seems to be calling to you. Here's the thing, though. Path to hell is paved with good intentions. Our society right now is paving a super highway to hell. If you want to be able to get past that and actually make something better, you got to work on yourself. Be the person that makes the difference for other people. Okay? Join me in that. This is my avenue to get there. Join me in that. Get to work with me. All right? Till next time, again, I'm your host, Chad over Broshears. We'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to it. And also, if you're not subscribed, go ahead. It's a great thing to do in the mornings to give yourself, just watch one of the videos to get you polarized, to give yourself a direction, put something on the compass. And from there, put a comment in the comment section. I'm always up to look at those and see what's going on and to comment back. Send me an email if you want some of those documents. By the way, again, it's yourmaturityproject@gmail.com. That's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. All right. Catch you on the next one. Let's go.